morning. Greetings. Welcome to Unity Spiritual Center of Panama City. I'm Ron Holdaway, LUT and spiritual leader for our community. And it's great to see all of you here for this online Sunday service, online Sunday presence for July the 12th. It's such a blessing to always see every one of you who join us here live. And then for those of you who watch later, we're glad you're here with us as well. So as we were gathering, I heard everybody talking about the current events. We're still, we still get bombarded with all these news cycles and all that. And we know, I was reflecting on this. One of the reasons we keep doing this is so that we can know that we are loved and that we can rise above the confusion and the chaos, because there's peace. If there's anything that we know as a spiritual community, is that we can rise above the chaos and the confusion by turning within, having a practice that teaches us to go within, enter the silence, which Rosa is going to talk about today, and be fully present with the truth of who we are. And if you're not familiar with that, if you're watching this, I see the people that are online today fully know this, but if you're not familiar with it, I encourage you to have some type of practice where you can go within and know the truth of your being. So let's open with prayer, if you would, just for a quick moment. Let's have a prayer of gratitude. All of the things going around in the world, we know there's only one presence and one power in our lives and in the world, God the good, omnipotent. We affirm this not to make it true, because we know it is the truth. We affirm that for ourselves. We affirm that for the world. We affirm that for our spiritual community and our local community. And we know that this is the truth of who we are. And as we know in unity, we are divine. We are, as our second principle says, the same essence that was in Jesus is also in us. Christ's consciousness, we call it. And so if we are God, then we are good, and all is well and all is good. So for this awareness and this, we raise our consciousness to this awareness of oneness and support with all people. We say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, sweet spirit. Amen. So today, whether you're a visitor to our community or whether you're watching and you just joined us online, we welcome you. If you're new to Unity, we welcome you. You can find out more about us and find out really the basis of what we are, what Unity is. For we know that Unity, we all love. Everyone is loved. There's no exceptions to this. How could it be any other way? Same energy, this same life energy that flows through us. Through each of us, regardless of race, gender, religion, or sexual orientation, whatever name you give for God, whether spirit, breath, ground of being, we know God by any name, and unity leaves no one out. So we welcome you. And unity teaches universal principles and practices that can be used in any faith tradition. So we honor you for that and welcome you. We say in unity that the creed of our heart is our religion is oneness, our God is love, and our race is human. So welcome to everyone who is joining us here on this service, online service. So we don't have any really new announcements. We keep reminding you every week that you can join in on, stay connected with your community with multiple Zoom services. We have a Course of Miracles on Tuesday nights, facilitated by Rose Flora, 6 o'clock. Thursday at 11 a.m. we have a guided meditation that I lead, and also we have a 8 o'clock. It's a midweek coffee and chat. If you just want to vent, there's no agenda. If you just want to vent and be with like-minded people, join us and you should get emails. If you've got an email from all those links are the same, but I'll send out emails to update you as we go along. So you're welcome to connect with us in many, many ways. We're in the middle of our theme for the month based on the booklet Comfort of Prayer, and Rosa's leading us with that today, and Rosa will speak on entering the silence, and she'll talk about that and her spiritual journey here in our community and onward, as well as entering the silence. So it's going to be a great service today. So thank you, Rosa, for blessing us with your presence in our talk today. Also, the board has Bob and Mike Startman with the Temple, B'nai Israel, have been talking about when and how we would start in-person activities again, a service, and we still have nothing new to report. If there's anything that comes up about that, we will definitely report it to you. So there's really no news that we don't see a date. We don't have a date in mind right now, so we'll keep you informed. The board this year has budgeted and approved a benevolence fund for assistance to our members. If you have any need for financial need or support, let me know. I'll get the process started with you, and then we'll go through a little bit of paperwork to do that. If you have any need at all, please do not hesitate to email me or call me, and we'll have a conversation about that. And in general, if you have any prayer needs, be sure to send those to me as well. A few of you this past week sent me some prayer requests, and so I put those on the list here, and then we send those to, after we hold them here about 7 days, we send those to Silent Unity. So be sure you can go to our website. There's a form there you can fill out there's a form you can fill out to a prayer request form as well on Silent Unity directly. Many thanks to, I'll say this every Sunday, many thanks to all of you who continue to support our spiritual community with your tithes and offerings. I'm truly humbled and blessed and honored by your presence and your giving. We do have expenses to keep going, even though we're not meeting in service, and you have been gracious and in responding to knowing the good that comes when we give of our resources and talents. So I thank you for that. So if you would, use your imagination, if you would, with your hand together, and think of the gift, not only the gift of money, finances, which we definitely is part of the way we function in this spiritual community, but also all the gifts of your presence, your time, your faith, your prayers. And so just be aware of all those ways that you give to the spiritual community. So if you would, so let's say our affirmation together. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. And we thank you, God, for these gifts of time and talent and treasures for this spiritual community, for all and each and every person. So we say thank you, thank you, thank you, sweet Spirit. Amen. So another reason that we do these services like this is just so that we can, I should say it's almost like a warm blanket that we cuddle with, although we do not need warm blankets in Florida, here in the Panhandle of Florida, especially in July. So whatever way you feel comforted and warmed and hugged, think of that. As a matter of fact, Jerry and Jan, I thought of this as I was talking about this. If you want to know what it's like if living in the South during this time, take your clothes off, get in the shower, the hottest shower you can possibly stand. Just get in there and take a shower. Get out of the shower and don't dry off, and put your clothes back on without drying off. That's what it's like living in the South right now. So, but we come together to feel comforted with each other. And I see you laughing, and that's, we we come together to celebrate each other and celebrate ourselves and the truth of our being. So it's a humbling experience to do that with each other as community. We know that we're loved. We love each other. We love ourselves as that. So that's why we do this. So I invite you to now just relax a little bit and get comfortable as we listen to these words of the daily word that will lead us into meditation and then into Rosa's talk about entering the silence. And the daily word is in the silence. The affirmation is, in the silence, I find my true self. I am peaceful. Rather than allow my mind to be easily swayed by outer circumstances, I look beyond appearances to the truth of my being. I do this by turning within to a place of peace, the silence. The words of Christian healing remind me to realize God, we must quiet our mind, quiet our thoughts, and enter into the stillness, peace, and harmony of spirit. When I pray, negative or limiting thoughts dissipate. When I meditate, I enter the silence and realize oneness. In the conscious awareness of my higher power and my divinity, I recognize my spiritual attributes. I find the strength I seek, the love that sustains me, and the peace to soothe my soul. As I move back into my day, I remember these attributes. I am renewed in mind and heart. In the silence, I find my true self. I am peaceful. And in your mind, if you can affirm that with me, in the silence, I find my true self. I am peaceful. And so it is. Now let's listen to this. I think I played this a couple of weeks ago, and it just was drawn to me again to play this song by Richard Medici, We're Angels Together. So let me get this queued up here. And just relax as we begin this time of quietness and meditation and stillness.
As long as you can pray, you are never helpless. As long as you can pray, you are never alone. It only takes a moment to turn a life around and point it home. Reaching in to find compassion, reaching out to lend a hand, reaching in to pray for guidance, reaching out to take a stand. It only takes a moment to turn a life around and point it home. There's always someone here you can share your burdens. There's always someone here you can share your victories. Angels for each other, friends along the way to unity. Reaching in to touch the silence, reaching out to light the way, reaching in to find the guidance, reaching out to be the change. Angels for each other, friends along the way. There are people everywhere reaching out for prayer. We'll be angels
Angels for each other. Angels for each other. That's what we pray. That's how we pray. Angels for each other. So if you haven't already done so, I invite you to get comfortable in your chair, close your eyes if that's comfortable, and just give yourself this break, this break of relaxation and a peace. And just be still just for a few moments. And begin by taking a deep breath in, and as you do, feel your body lift up. And then as you exhale, just relax and release. Fully and totally and completely relax. Deep breath in and fully relax. As you exhale. And as you focus on your breath, focus on the time, the space between breaths, between the inhale and the exhale. Just turn your attention to that. Let any thoughts, any cares, any worries, any anxieties, just let them float by like balloons. If they come back, just imagine in your mind that these thoughts are just drifting by. They just drift by. Nothing to judge, nothing to do, just observe. Continue to breathe. And again, as you sit in this time of peace and relaxation and silence, return to your breath if your thoughts come and go, and just relax. Give yourself a great appreciation for just resting and being and not doing for these few moments, and just rest. Breathe into your heart space as you take these deep breaths, and just breathe naturally. Just breathe deeply into your heart space. For we know the heart is the center of love. And as we find this place of peace and love and understanding, as we realize this for ourselves, then we can share it with the rest of the world. And as we take this breath, imagine yourself up at 10,000 feet looking down, just looking down at yourself, breathing and fully relaxing. And as we rest into this heart space, into this presence of love, we touch this space where we know God lives and moves and has being in each one of us. Breathe this awareness right now in this moment and just be. Just be. Be in the silence. And as you go into this place of love and peace and joy, we know that no matter what happens on the outer, whether it's confusion or what seems to be confusion and chaos, we can affirm, I am submerged in peace. I am surrounded by peace. I am immersed in peace. There is nothing but peace. Peace, deep, calm, undisturbed. Peace, deep, calm, undisturbed. So let's enter the silence for a few moments. I'll watch the time. Just rest in peace in the silence. Peace, deep, calm, undisturbed. Peace, deep, calm, undisturbed. Again, no matter the chaos or the confusion on the outer, we can always find this place of silence, this place of intuitive knowing the truth of our being. Rest in this place frequently so that we know that, again, no matter the chaos or confusion on the outer, we can always find this peace. So now I invite you to take a deep breath. And as we find this place of our being, we can look around in our community locally, in the world, in the globe, and we see this peace for all, not just for us. For we realize we are a single wave on the ocean of God. We are an eachness in the allness of the one presence and one power. And as soon as we realize this about ourselves, we know the truth about every other person on the planet. How could it be any other way? So take another deep breath, and as you begin to return your attention to this time and place, you might roll your neck, shrug your shoulders, wiggle your fingers and toes. And when you're comfortable, you can fully open your eyes and be fully present. Another deep breath, just to relax. So now we have Rosa is going to share our talk for the day, continuing in the booklet from The Comfort of Prayer. Yep, there she is. So I'll turn it over to you, Rosa. You're muted, Rosa.
That might help. Eager beaver. Hello, dear ones, and I'm so glad to have this opportunity to share with you once again. And as Ron had said, we're going to continue our series in the booklet, The Comfort of Prayer. But before I start, I would like to speak about Melissa's talk last Sunday. She spoke about pray for our enemies. Really? Seriously? Melissa eloquently spoke of the importance of working with our own individual angers. She made the distinction of being angry versus living in anger. She spoke that it is not worth holding grudges or always spinning in a negative thinking cycle of being a winner, being a loser, being right, being wrong. It is better to build compassion and empathy for our adversaries. Thank you, Melissa, for your insightful talk. And I was assigned, as I said earlier, or Ron has mentioned, in dealing with the short excerpt in the pamphlet, which says "Entering the Silence" by Richard and Mary Alice DeFola. They are former directors of Silent Unity, and they were also executive editors of the Daily Word. They're very prolific. They've also have done radio shows, and they have lots of book titles out there too. But also what they're known for, and which some of you have taken this before, but which is really great, is they've also written The Quest, which is a journey of spiritual rediscovery. And it's really all the basic unity principles. And I was looking at it through the week and thought, I need to go back to basics, that it's always really good to go back to basics. And I'll talk a little bit more about the quest shortly. But in the excerpt, in the pamphlet, it gets right into it, and it asks the question, what exactly is the right method of prayer? And I would add, what is the exactly right way to enter into silence in prayer or meditation? And the answer for both questions is millions of ways. For every single person who prays or meditate, there's going to be their own individual process in entering the silence. And people have even shared with me, well, I just can't get there. And hopefully I'll give you a little bit of insight and possibly some tips. I'm not really here in the short amount of time that I have to give you a class on that, but I'm sure in the future you'll have that opportunity at Unity Spiritual Center, Panama City, in which to understand more this incredible process of entering the silence. And it can be as simple or as involved as you want it to be. We can begin to experience entering the silence in affirmative prayer. And this is the important part, is by always giving ourselves times of silence in each prayer. So maybe, and I know a lot of you enter the silence, but maybe those that don't or find it a challenge, by just being silent, maybe at the end of your prayer, at the beginning of what works for you, just starting there is the beginning, and putting aside that time to be silent. Each one of us, of course, will differ, but as we practice daily, so it is possible to reach those moments of entering the silence, even for a second. Like just a moment ago when Ron was doing the prayer, of course, my head is spinning around because of my talk and because of also something I'm going to share with you after my talk for a moment, that I had to just breathe. And that is one really good hint about entering the silence, is I had to breathe and just take a moment. And I did get a moment or two or a second of the silence, which sometimes is just enough, but it's always working to go into the silence. Meditation, let's see, where am I? Oh yeah. And also the Defolas have also stated a few moments in utter stillness will quickly bring us back to the realization that we are part of our Creator, part of the universe, and that we are truly not alone. So we think about entering the silence, but that's the wonder of it, is in entering the silence, we get the sense of being connected to the universe, being connected to people that think alike, or being connected to all our loved ones here and past. Richard and Mary Alice Jaffola, as I said, also are authors of The Quest, which I showed you earlier, the book. And there is actually a chapter in this book, chapter 12, which is called The Silence. And it is so wonderful. I had to read it over and over a couple of times just to kind of absorb that it had so much guidance in it. I will speak briefly on this because it does discuss the silence in direct and specific ways. Meditation as prayer brings such small investments. I know a lot of you here have been in Unity for many years, and those that have just started, or those are thinking that might be listening to this in the recording, maybe thinking about Unity principles. And prayer and meditation, especially affirmative prayer, I think, really brings us better sleep, possibly lowering our blood pressure, calming ourselves, relieving tensions, giving us just that moment. The one great thing about entering the silence is when we're quiet and we allow our thoughts to float away, or we don't have our thoughts in those moments. It's opening, it's a way of coming out of our prayer meditation with a renewal and a perspective of calm and serenity, and approaching our life in a quite different way sometimes than just always rushing and thinking and not being present with who we really are, which is the divine and being able to live that and bring that into our everyday life. But with all those benefits that it gives, the most important benefit that entering the silence does, the most essential benefit of what just I talked about, is entering the silence is knowing your divine self. You can call it God, you can call it allness, you can call it Allah, you can call it Buddha. But being present with that sense of divinity and Christ's self gives you that opportunity, as I said earlier, to absorb and be in the presence so that you can begin to make, to come through and make decisions by being your spiritual self versus your human self. And the wonderful thing too about entering the silence is expect nothing, be non-resistant, and surrender. And those aren't words in our society, in our busy, be competitive, get ahead, in our what we do. And that's what the quarantine has really given us, a moment of stepping back and not being so busy, and also rethinking. But entering the silence is about expecting nothing, about surrendering to the divine, and about non-resistance. It almost ties into a little bit of what Melissa said about adversaries, or what the article called enemies. Really, the only enemy or adversary we really do have is ourselves, in my perspective. And by being my own adversary and making and myself working against myself, if I just stop, breathe, pray, meditate, enter the silence, and expect nothing, be non-resistant, and surrender, I can begin to develop the spiritual self within me. And don't be concerned with how you are doing. The more you are concerned, the less you are in the stillness. Prayer and meditation is not the time for concern about the challenges in your life. There's plenty of time later for that. If your attention wanders, bringing it back to the process of meditation, bring it back to, and like I say, there's so many ways to do it. Ron always mentions this, your thoughts floating on a cloud, and mine, and I learned this technique over 50 years ago. Can you believe that? I learned the technique of putting my thoughts on a board and erasing them. And to this day, I still use it. And the other default that I use is just breathing. And I count my breath, because by counting my breath, I am able to focus on my breath. So I'll go to myself, inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4. And I will do that over and over and over again until I come out of meditation. And I don't know at what point, but that has always worked for me. But as I said earlier, it's what works for you. And if there is frustration, you just go back to the drawing board and you try something different, or you just sit there and you breathe, and you, as you said, you don't worry, you don't expect nothing. You just breathe and know that the God of your knowing will guide you for whatever you may need. And as I said earlier, non-resistance is really important, and it is a key to success. Your tranquil awareness and focus are really all that are needed. When you are finished with your prayer meditation, you can return gently, as we always do at Unity, to full awareness, and allow, I think sometimes I even need to do this more too, and allow yourself to savor the experience. Curiously enough, Jesus Christ, our way shower, left us specific instructions about this silence. He made quite an issue out of entering a sacred place when you want to connect with God. Go into a room and close the door, he said. Go into a place where there is only you and your God, the God of your knowing, or however you call it. And shut the entire clamor of outer things, including your thoughts. The secret place of silence that Jesus told us to enter is not just a quiet room in your house or deserted ship or beach or anywhere else that you might seek solitude. It is more than that. It is an inner space, an internal and very personal space of total silence, which no one else can ever enter or disturb. Meaning that even in this place, when you get there, it doesn't matter what noises are around you or what's outside. You are in that place and in the silence with your divinity, with your Christ. It is that perfect, unchanging part of which waits like a safe harbor, a friendly port to welcome you in a calm storm, in peace or in distress. It's where you connect with God. And think about this as well. How about, I know we have a family member, or I know I have a family member or a friend who sometimes just doesn't stop talking. And they talk and talk and talk, or even that young child just talking away and not ever listening, because entering this silence can be also listening. But it's this person that just chatters, and it's impossible to get your point across, and because the person won't be quiet. Well, that holds true also to the Christ within. We might criticize that person yapping all the time, but we do that to ourselves when we're trying to quiet our mind or to enter the silence. God of your knowing is forever ready to communicate with you. All the guidance and inspiration and divine ideas that you could ever possibly want or need are there for you. They are ready to transfer to the universal God mind, to your own subconscious mind, so that you can draw upon them as you need them. But in order to receive the divine ideas, you have to be receptive, quiet, and still. There is nothing mysterious about this process. Anyone can do it. Your quiet times become an open door through which you walk into a broader light, a larger sense of yourself in the world. Things just automatically fall into the better perspective after you sit quiet and enter this silence. I don't want to end this part of my talk without a story, because as you know, those that have heard me talk before, is I love stories. And this particular one makes a really good point. And it is in the book, The Quest, under this chapter. And it's called A Random Walk. And it's about the DeFolas. And when they moved to Florida there for a few years, they finally decided that they wanted to buy their first orange tree. So they went to a nursery and they were looking at all of these orange trees, and they were all very young, smaller trees. And their eye caught this tree that had a magnificent, huge navel orange hanging from it. And the orange was so heavy that they thought that it was going to pull the tree down. But they couldn't resist, and they bought this tree, and they took it home, and they went ahead and watered it every day. And before you knew it, they were able to pick this one orange. And they ate it, and it was sumptuous and juicy and meaty. And they just were so excited that they had their first orange off their tree. And then they waited, and in a month or so, the little tree had developed at least 50 little orange blossoms. And eventually they turned into like little peas, and that were the oranges. And then they had a bunch of fruit of oranges on their tree, and they were so excited. But something really curious happened in about a month, is that all the trees, all the oranges had fallen off, and all they had was just leaves. What had happened? They went back to the nursery and questioned the man in charge. And he said, a young tree can't sustain so many oranges. It's not developed enough, he explained. It expends so much energy trying to feed all the oranges that none gets fed well. And the tree itself doesn't even have enough energy left to grow. He had said too that when the new tree had buds, they needed to be pruned and cut back in order to have just a few fruit or not to have fruit. So in the coming years, it can bear wonderful fruit as well. When it eventually got strong enough, it could easily sustain hundreds of oranges. And the Jafolas, they were just taken aback, not only for the lesson, about nature and botany, but also for what they would interpret as well spiritually. And I'm going to quote this and read it to you for just a moment. His explanation turned out to be a lesson in truth as well as botany. In an effort to improve our lives, we often read many books, listen to many tapes, and attend many inspirational lectures. Each new technique we want to immediately incorporate into our lives. We can't wait to begin, yet each idea, each technique is a tiny bud. Each technique needs strategy to be nurtured and developed, just like a blossom. If we are going to concentrate on 5 or 10 ideas at a time, none will develop properly. However, if we take one idea, just one idea at a time, and put all of our effort into mastering it, that one idea will lead to more quality growth that many ideas use slightly. We will always remember that first orange. It was the only one on the tree, but it was sweet, meaty, and juicy. It had received the full attention and nurturing of the tree, and so it was everything an orange should be. So we can take a one idea, such as entering the silence, and work at it, or there may be other ideas that you have spiritually or otherwise that we want to work on and look at. And this moves me into the closing, but I want to share something with you. A few of you know anyway, and it's the same idea that this story talks about, and I find in my life right now that I really need to focus on getting ready to move from Panama City. That my little bud is starting to bear fruit, and I must really concentrate on all of the things that it's going to take, and as well as always working on myself spiritually. So this is going to be my last talk that I do for Unity of Spiritual Center of Panama City. And my heart, I'm joyous for what's to come, but my heart, of course, is heavy because I love you all, and there are many of you. I've been here 9 years, and I can remember that first time in downtown Panama City when I came upon, it was a Friday night, they would have those street festivals, and I came upon a table and it said Unity Church or Unity Panama City, and I approached it and they were advertising some classes, and it seemed interesting. I was a seeker. I've been a seeker for over 50, 60 years. And it caught my attention, and I started a class with Reverend Darby and with Ann Beaver. And a lot of you, there's still some of you that are on this chat today that was in that class. And it was wondrous. It was amazing. And then I started to go to services, and I was at home, and it was really crazy too, because by the end of that class, I decided I was going to be a licensed Unity teacher, not even knowing what that was. I was Unity principles and concepts, and I joined 4 others. That was 5 of us, and we spent over a year taking classes in regard to making the qualifications. And then there was 4, and then there was 3 people studying to be a licensed Unity teacher. Then there was 2, and then there was myself. And out of the 5, who would have been the least one a person would think would have completed this, I did. And I don't even know. I sometimes think back. I mean, I was the most green, but yet it was Spirit tugging at me, and it was Spirit and my God and my Christ urging me on and helping me to develop and helping me to be part of this community and give and support and teach and act as a spiritual leader for some time. And I grew spiritually, and I grew within myself, and my husband Augustine got involved, and we are so grateful to this spiritual center and to the principles of unity. And I'm not done. I'm going to be active in my LUT. I don't know what that looks like. I have to let Spirit guide me. I have to surrender, and I have to let it happen as it means to. But I won't be participating now and at Unity. And I want to give you all my love and let you know that I am forever grateful to having been part of this church. Namaste.
Rosa, I think you can see all the Zoom waves. So yeah, you've definitely blessed my heart, and I speak from everyone here. Let me unmute everybody, and I want you to hear this. I was just going to do it myself, but I want you to hear it from, the echo. There will be some echoes and all that, but that's one of the times, that's the way we are. I think everybody's unmuted, and let's say our unity blessing for Rosa. Actually, we're saying this for Augustine and Rosa, because Augustine has had a big part in this spiritual community with Course of Miracles, the 4 Agreements, and other classes.
Oh, yeah.
So he's had a big part. So put your hands up, put them full of love and energy. Let's say our blessing for Rosa and Augustine. We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you.
We behold the Christ in you. Through you. So
yeah, we really do.
We love you.
So the board has the board approved Wednesday for a gift for a goodbye gift for Rosa and Augustine, and if you would like to make a donation above and beyond, we'll add that to that. You can send it to the church or go online and donate and just put in there for Rosa and Augustine, or for Rosa, and we'll add that to what the board has already approved to send them on their way. I'm sure we'll be seeing them on the exact day that they roll up in the with the movers roll up. I know Rosa and Augustine are planning on the pods, and they're going to store some stuff and all that for a little while. So we'll be in contact. But Rosa, we can't thank you enough for what you've contributed to this community. And I wanted this on the recording so you hear that. And we appreciate you more than I can say. You've been a big support for me personally during these. It's been an interesting couple of years. That we've had with Hurricane Michael, and then me getting becoming an LUT, Reverend Joe leaving, and you've been always very supportive of me. So I can't say how much I appreciate it. And I'm sure I'm speaking for the whole community. You've been very gracious and cordial, and we love you all. We love you for it.
We love you. And wherever you end up, we're on Zoom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Come see us. Come see us. We'll have some kind of online presence, I know, going forward. So we'll love you. We'll go ahead and keep going with the service, and then we'll come back and let all of you say something at the end of the service. So for now, let's close with the prayer for protection. And again, just say it. Let's say it together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Blessings, everyone. Have a great week. And
Namaste.
we'll see you on Zoom. Blessings.